Ooh, I'm going to play multiple games at once with a weird voiceover. What? What do you want? I'm weird. Is it weird or crazy? I always get those two mixed up. Hey everyone, how's it going? Total Level here, this time talking about weird JRPGs that I have played. Now, of course, with different cultures, there's going to be aspects that we find weird over here that others will find normal and vice versa. And I think many JRPGs have these weird or quirky moments, like say Final Fantasy. For me though, I picked 10 weird JRPGs that have either weird concepts to them, or they have fairly normal battle systems throughout but are quite quirky in design, or one crossover that is still strange to me but is one of my favorite series ever. Now, these are ones that I played, not necessarily beaten, so keep that in mind. With all that said, let's look at 10 weird JRPGs that I played. So first up I have Earthbound, which for the longest time I haven't played this game, like it took me a lot of years before I finally got to play this, not until it got in the Wii U Virtual Console store and then replaying it on the Switch again, and yeah, what a fun, quirky, weird game, as you're playing as Ness, who's part of this prostified chosen four, right, who need to collect these melodies from 8 sanctuaries in order to defeat Gigas, and just what a fun, weird game, like hilarious throughout. You want to talk to everyone because everyone just has really weird and funny dialogue throughout, and combat is kind of dungeon crawler-esque in a way where it's like this first person or old school Dragon Quest, right? Or Phantasy Star, right? And yeah, it's just really cool. And while the game has aged a bit with its kind of combat system, graphically, man, this game is still just so appealing to look at. You've seen how many games were influenced by this, with the biggest probably being Undertale, right? And just this art style is so unique, especially for on the Super Nintendo, in this whole world where so many kind of RPGs at the time would kind of look pretty similar to one another. This game, Earthbound, just really stood apart, and yeah, hopefully one day we get a localized version of Mother 3, but till then, yeah, Earthbound just still fantastic stuff and such a weird game. Next we have Conception 2 Children of the Seven Stars. So this is one of those where I talked about weird concepts, as, yeah, no pun intended. But when I got my Vita, I was looking for new games to check out, and this one, just its cover kind of caught my eye at GameStop one day, so I check out and, didn't really look at the name, and yeah, by the name you can kind of guess the concept of this game, as you are at this kind of high school that's also a training facility to defeat these demons in these dungeons, right? And you, the main protagonist, is known as God's gift. You have what's known as a high amount of ether in your body that allows you to quote-unquote classmate with your fellow classmates. So yeah, this game dances around the idea that you're basically using your own children that you classmate with your other classmates to fight in battle. I wish I wasn't making this stuff up, but that's what this is. Now, the game itself, not too bad though. I did find myself pretty bored of it quite quickly, as the game is just very kind of basic dungeon crawler. Combat is fine, but the dungeons themselves very bland. The enemies are very bland. Story wasn't super interesting. Same with a lot of the characters in this game, so let me know what you guys think of Conception 2, but yeah, just a weird and kind of creepy concept. Again, no pun intended, but yeah, let me know what you think of this game yourself. If you played it, that is. Next, we'll talk about the crossover I was talking about, Kingdom Hearts. Love this series, love it so much, but the concept to me is always so weird of this, crossover of Disney meets Final Fantasy, but yeah, I love Kingdom Hearts, and it's just weird how well it works now. Over time, especially with the third game, Final Fantasy characters have kind of phased out of the series. Hopefully with Kingdom Hearts 4, we get to see a lot more of those characters in here and everything like that, but yeah, I just love Kingdom Hearts. I love visiting these Disney worlds and interacting with these people, and yeah, combat's a lot fun. It was also fun to finally beat the first Kingdom Hearts game on the hardest difficulty. I never done that before, so that was really cool. And yeah, it's just series I really enjoy, but yeah, it's definitely one of the strangest kind of crossovers we ever got. Next, we have Zanki Zero Last Beginning. So this one's very interesting. It's by Spike Chunsoft, and I believe this was the first game they made after Danganronpa, and definitely has that vibe to it, very weird characters, right, and weird concept and everything like that. Now, for me, I want to play through this because the story itself does interest me, but this is one of those games that adds way too many genres into one that just doesn't quite mesh together, because this is a RPG, it's a visual novel, it's a first-person dungeon crawler, it's a survival game, it's a simulator, it's like 5+ genres all packed into one, and it just gets a bit messy because through the game you will age and de-age characters throughout, and you're picking up certain items that you need materials to rebuild certain facilities on your island, because the whole story is you're apparently part of 8 of the last survivors of Earth. Earth has been completely destroyed and you're the last hope of humanity, but the people that they chose for this apparently have a lot of big sins that they committed, but you have to kind of play through to kind of know their dark stories for this, right? So all that is very interesting, but the gameplay itself is just something I couldn't vibe with. I was constantly feeling like I was missing something or missing out on something, or I was screwing something up. Let me know what you guys think if you played this yourselves, because it's very interesting, but there's just too much going on with this game for me to fully enjoy. Next up, we have Rhapsody, a musical adventure. So admittedly, this is a pretty mid game, but for me, I do quite enjoy this game. It's just a fun musical RPG adventure, which makes it very unique, right? As you're playing as a girl named Cornet who is trying to save a prince after he's been turned to stone by a witch, and yeah, very basic, your fairy tale like storyline and everything like that, and super easy game as it's, combat set up like a tactical RPG style, but there's no strategy involved. Like, while your moves are super OP, and yeah, you're going to be one-shotting a lot of enemies throughout, pretty short game too, but still, it's one that is, near and dear to my heart, I would say. It's just a fun little adventure game that's easy to play through, and yeah, one I personally recommend as quite weird and different. Next up on this list is Shadow Heart. So out of all the games I'm going to be showing today, admittedly this isn't like the weirdest or anything, but because it is quite unique with its gothic themed for an RPG, we don't see that too often. I thought I would put this on here. So Shadow Hearts is a continuation of a game on PS1 called Kudelka. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, that's another game on my list to play eventually, which I'll probably have to emulate because, yeah, it's very expensive, at least North American copies are. But Shadow Hearts, really fun series as these games kind of take place on an alternate version of Earth where monsters and supernatural creatures are just running about, right? And it's really cool as the first game here for Shadow Hearts, you're playing as Yuri, who's protecting this girl named Alice from this magician named Roger Bacon. I know, one of the most menacing bad guy names in history, right? But super fun. I love the Judgment Ring system where you have to time your button presses in order to attack. Has a bit of a risk-reward system because you can do critical attacks on each of your attacks, but you also risk the chance of missing, right? And kind of giving up an attack, right? But yeah, just really cool series. I still have to play from the new world. I played Shadow Hearts and Covenant, both fantastic games, especially Covenant. I love that one so much, but Shadow Hearts 1 really cool too, and one of these games that I highly recommend people check out, though another one you might have to emulate because, yeah, Shadow Hearts is a pretty expensive game. Next up we have Heroland. So this game's very weird and unique in that you are a tour guide in this theme park called Heroland, where your job is to take guests who want to go on an RPG adventure, take them through a dungeon, and make sure they're able to clear that dungeon, right? It's, yeah, almost like LARPing, right? It's very interesting and all that because you yourself, you're not actually in these battles. What your job is to, heal any of your guests who quote-unquote get injured or are about to, die, right? And you have to try and help them get through the adventure while having the best experience possible, because if you make the adventure way too easy for them, they're happy that they got through it, but they're going to find that adventure very boring. Versus if you make it way too hard, then the guests aren't going to be happy because they want to beat the dungeon, right? And other aspects too, like if people clear the dungeon but one your guest dies in the middle of battle, then they're going to be upset with the experience because they're not part of the group that got to complete the dungeon, right? They're just part of the group that died. So it's this balance, and it's very interesting. Unfortunately for this game though, it is kind of one-trick pony. Like, you can tell that the budget wasn't super high for this game, and so I did drop this game after a while because, yeah, nothing really kept grabbing my attention because I love, the art style. I love these characters, but the novelty kind of wears thin because since you're not participating in these battles yourself, you're just guiding guests through these. It can get frustrating because your guests will do, things that just don't help the party get through that dungeon, right? They might just chat up with other people and ignore certain commands, right? And that's kind of frustrating. So let me know if you played Heroland. Is it worth sticking through, or does it just repeat itself too much, right? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up we have Sorcery Saga: Curse of the Great Curry God. Now, normally if you put Idea Factory and Compile Heart together, I usually hate this, as this game was developed by Compile Heart. I'm just usually not a fan of their games at all, but Sorcery Saga, I actually didn't find too bad. It is a bit frustrating because it is a roguelike RPG, but the characters and story is very charming and engaging because the whole story is that there's a rival curry restaurant right next to your kind of favorite one, and they're getting all the business while your favorite curry shop is slowly starting to lose business. So you're going in these dungeons, getting ingredients and everything like that to, give to your favorite curry restaurant to make sure that they don't go out of business. It's very silly, very charming, right? A lot of this game did make me laugh out loud, and again, usually Compile Heart, I'm just not really a fan of their games too much, but I have to say, Sorcery Saga Curse of the Great Curry God, this isn't too bad, and usually you can find it on Steam for fairly cheap. It's not the greatest or anything, I want to stress that out. There, like I said, there is frustration with it, but overall, for a Compile Heart game, it's decent. Next up, we have Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. So, recently kind of started this game now, and yeah, it's pretty charming. So, you're playing as a very whiny princess named Sakuna who is kicked from her temple because she's trying to stop these people from stealing food from you, but you unintentionally set fire to a building, and so you, along with these group of people, are kind of banished from the temple and are asked to go to this Isle of Demons to investigate it, and in order to survive, you're gathering materials from these kind of different stages on this island and defeating these monsters, right? Gathering food. And that's kind of how you level up too, because each night you eat food with your group of people, you get some stat boosts over there, but the biggest one you get is from growing rice. You are a rice farmer, and each kind of cycle where you go through each season lasts 3 days, and yeah, you're going from like spring up to fall to grow your rice, and for winter, yeah, there's no growing, but it's so weird because yeah, the better you grow your rice, the more effort you put into the little mini games they make you play. Like if you stick with it to do the main games, then the bigger your stat boosts go. So that's kind of how you level up or get stronger, right? It's very unique and different and weird, and I really enjoyed that about this game. I haven't seen anything quite like this ever before, combat wise, like gameplay, it's very solid. I do wish the jumping was a bit more responsive. I found myself like missing what seems to be pretty simple jumps here and there, and combat wise it takes a while to get used to because there's no actual block button. That took me a bit to get used to because of, if you're like me and played enough of these 2D kind of action games, then yeah, it's something you're not quite used to is no like block or proper dodge, because you can dodge, but yeah, it's a bit weird and all that. But overall, I'm enjoying my time with this game. It's very different. I love the art style with it. So yeah, it's a game that, I haven't beaten yet, but so far I am enjoying it. And the final game we have here is Yakuza Like a Dragon. So I could put any of these games on here, but I went with Yakuza Like a Dragon because this was the start of the turn-based combat rate. As what a phenomenal game. I mean, Ichiban is one of my favorite characters already, and just the new cast of party members you get, and just, man, what a joyous game, because the Yakuza games, or Like a Dragon, heck, throw Judgment in there as well, they're super serious stories, and yet they have such silly moments in them that make them so fun and charming, right? Of just this game alone, you're helping some bubble man get close in one sub-story, which I can't stress this enough too, is usually for RPGs, side quests are, you know, I like doing things kind of 100% or a good chunk of, you know, most of the games when I play them, but they're usually pretty boring for these tasks and everything. But for the Yakuza games, they make them so fun just because of how quirky these side stories are. They're all the same, they end the same way as other side quests in other games of, you know, you're just gathering certain materials or you're fighting a certain group of enemies, right? It's the same over and over, but the sub-stories in these games are so fun and charming, and I love how this game kind of has the story set up in a good, nice throwback to Yakuza 1, right? It's just really cool. I can't stress how much I love this game, how much I love these characters, how much I love this series, right? So, yeah, and Infinite Wealth, the latest one, was another fantastic game in this whole series, so yeah, just, I love it, and I can't recommend this game enough to people. And so, those are 10 of some of the weirdest JRPGs that I played. I hope you enjoyed. I wanted to do something like this to hopefully show others some games that maybe they haven't heard of before, some of the more obscure titles. Also, let me know in the comments if you played any of these games that I listed here before, and what are some of the weirdest JRPGs that you played. I would love to hear them and check them out for myself, and I'll see you next time. Thanks everyone, have a great rest of your day. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, or if you just want to see any of my skits and then nothing else and leave the video, that's fine too. Thanks everyone, take care.